fans, do you want to win your share of $100,000? Simply enter the houseofboxing.com Fight Night Prediction Challenge. Compete with boxing fans around the world. Simply head over to houseofboxing.com and sign up now.
This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store on houseofboxing.com. Delighted to be joined with the WBO Cruiserweight World Champion, Mr. Chris Billam-Smith. We're back in Bournemouth, December the 10th. Mateusz Masternak is the challenge. How are we feeling going into this one?
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, he's a fantastic fighter, a huge name to have on my record, and I've got to go in there and put in a really good performance to be able to come away with the win.
How excited is it fighting someone like Masternak, who's a 50-fight veteran, pushed Tony Bellew all the way, a guy with bags full of experience? Like, when you look at it in this stage, you can learn a lot from the experience that he's got.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm gonna learn stuff from this fight, I'm sure. But I've got to focus on me and what I do well. But yeah, he brings so much, and I've said it throughout today that he's one of the most well-rounded boxers in the division. You know, a lot of guys do certain things really well, and that's what makes him dangerous. But he's so well-rounded, and which makes him a really dangerous fighter.
And obviously back at the Bournemouth International Centre, not quite the stadium. Is the feeling a little bit different? Like, when you had such a good time at the stadium, obviously the International Centre, being in Bournemouth is nice in itself, but feeling a little bit different for this one being in the International Centre?
Have you ever been there?
I've never been there, to be honest.
No, well, I'm excited to go back because last year because it holds the noise a lot better than the stadium does. The noise in there, it's like a bear pit, honestly. It's phenomenal. It's such a good arena. It's a shame it's not a touch bigger, because I think we'd all like it a little bit bigger, but I'm so excited to go back there. Weirdly, obviously after the stadium, people will see it as a downgrade, but when it comes to atmospheres, which is the reason I got into the sport, you can't beat it. And it's the noise. It's a real short ring walk, and you just walk, and there's just a wall of people just creating absolute mayhem. So I'm really excited.
And when it's the fourth time back in Bournemouth now, since now becoming a world champion there, with what you mentioned there about the International Centre and just being in Bournemouth in itself, do you feel like this is a feeling that will never get old, no matter how many times you come back to Bournemouth, and you don't really realise what you do for the town or the city when you bring the boxing back to the South Coast? Is it a feeling for you that this will never get old?
Yeah, it can't get old. Like I said, I got into sport because of atmospheres, and that was 20 of us chanting my mate's name whilst we're watching him have an amateur fight. So for me, people love sport because of the atmospheres and the moments it creates. And I've been very fortunate to live in those moments and be the centrepiece of those moments in terms of the Isaac fight. Me and Isaac were the centrepiece because we created a fantastic fight, but the fans made the atmosphere. The Jojo knockout, the Lawrence Okoli fight, they're moments and atmospheres which I absolutely live for and thrive off. So I don't think I'll ever get old. For me, it's the most exciting point of my life, the most exciting thing that happens in my life. There's obviously things which I love a lot more, like my family and stuff like that, and spending time with them. But when it comes to all-out excitement, sporting atmospheres are the best thing. I love going to sporting events, and just soaking up the atmospheres at all different sporting events or music events, whatever it is. So for me, it will never ever get old.
And being a world champion now, everyone always has the old saying that when you are a world champion, you do get that 10-20% better. We may not see that till you fight, but do you feel like that in the gym?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm showing it in training as well, and the sparring that I'm doing at the moment. I'm becoming a much more well-rounded fighter. I'm not the finished article, but the improvements now is almost easier because you've got the confidence in all the other stuff, whereas before you're trying to fix 10 taps, now I'm just fixing 1 or 2 here and there. So it's for me it's important to just keep learning, but definitely feel much more confident.
Is there a part though that it's still good to have the contender tag, because you are a world champion, but there's still your upper tires and your other guys that you still want to clean out? So although you might seem to some people you're at the top of the tree, you've also got 3 or 4 other guys that you want to knock their position off as well.
Until everyone's calling you number one, you've got to have that contender mindset, and I think that's what I'm like. not everyone's calling me number one yet, and that's how I've always been. I've always wanted to be number one. As an amateur, I wanted to, and I've always wanted to fight the best. And I've had the opportunity to on many occasions as amateur and now a pro. But until I'm undisputed and there's no arguments, then I'll always have that mindset.
Absolutely. And another guy that people would have thought would be your next fight was Lawrence De Coley. We obviously spoke before, and you talked about sort of the broadcasters not really being interested on the Coley side. Is it sort of, what was the deal where it was Mastrzenaki instead of a Coley now?
I don't know what happened. I was just saying that he's not the easiest. It's not the easiest on the eye, is he? And I think what if I put myself in their shoes, I wouldn't want to show him either. And it's not like it was just that fight. It was obviously throughout his career. I understand the business side of it. It's an entertainment business, and he hasn't been entertaining. So that's, I don't know what happened behind the scenes. We were training me and Shane were doing pad work like we were fighting Lawrence 4 or 5 weeks ago. It was like Lawrence or Masterneck. So we've sort of had to deal with the news as it come in.
And was it sort of frustrating that whole time? Because it reminds me of something that you did put an Instagram post out, and you talked about sort of that patience is what you do when the period of time that you're being patient. So, and it's sort of a whole thing for your career. There's the importance of being patient. So, was that frustrating? But was it also important to remind yourself of those things?
Yeah, but I'm quite a patient person. I just control the controllables, and that's all you can do in this sport. You have no control about the fight dates. That's my team's job to do, and I trust them wholeheartedly. So they do what they have to do, and they've all done a fantastic job in my career and got me into this position, being world champion, headlining shows on Sky Sports. So I trust them to do their job. My job is to train and improve as a fighter. So as long as I keep doing that, I'm not too fussed about what else is going on.
Absolutely, Chris. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. All the best for December the 10th, mate. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.